The legendary Magic Johnson is responding to a star of today, Anthony Edwards, who recently told the Wall Street Journal that he doesn't really know of any players from the 90s era that had skills outside of Michael Jordan, who's known as the GOAT to many young athletes. Magic recently said, "I never respond to a guy who's never won a championship." He said, "That man didn't win a college championship. I don't know if he's ever won a high school championship." And Magic left it at that with Anthony Edwards. Yeah, Ant, you brought that one on yourself, man. I'm not going to lie to you. To not acknowledge the greatness that was Magic Johnson. Like, you're telling me you don't see the skill set in Magic Johnson? And I don't even want to go down the list of naming NBA players that had great skill sets in the 90s. I'll just leave it at Magic and Hakeem. And the reason why I leave it right there is not only do guys try to emulate the skill set of Magic and Hakeem today, you could argue that those dudes' skill set still better than most of the game today. There are not guys around the league that can pass the rock that like Magic. There are not guys around the league that got the footwork like Hakeem, period. And what about the conversations of all the guys that started in the 90s and made their way into the 2000s? Jason Kidd, Kobe Bryant, all these dudes were 90s hoopers. They got drafted in the 90s. Steve Nash, Ray Allen, all these dudes got drafted in the 90s technically. So what game are we playing? These dudes have immense skills. I didn't even bring up the Charles Barkleys of the world, Isaiah Thomases of the world that made their marks in the 90s. Kareem was playing some ball still in the 90s, winning rings in the 90s. I'm going to let it rest there. Ant put that one on himself, though. Magic Johnson, a pretty Magic-like clapback. Did it with a smile on his face, by the way. Magic wasn't done there. When asked about the GOAT conversation, Magic Johnson reiterated that his late, great Laker contemporary Kobe Bryant deserves to have his name still in the GOAT conversation. Magic said, "We know Kobe belongs in that conversation even today. Kareem, Kobe, all those dudes wore that purple and gold." So when I think about what Kobe meant to the game of basketball, and to me offensively, he's the second best dude in terms of that shooting guard or small forward positions behind Mike. When you think about scoring wise, nobody could stop Kobe, just like nobody could stop Mike. Magic even went as far as to kind of allude to Kobe's name being disrespected after his passing and his name starting to drop on a lot of guys' top 10 all-time list. I want to tell the legend Magic Johnson this. That game started before Kobe passed away. I started to see it right around the time he retired. A lot of these top 10 lists started to drop Kobe's name. And it's weird because they're dropping his name and they're not even adding guys of today's game in it. Like, Steph ain't looked at as a better player than Kobe, nor is Kevin Durant. So I'm trying to figure out if Kobe's name was in the GOAT conversation for all of his prime. All I remember growing up was Kobe being compared to Michael Jordan. They weren't comparing Kobe Bryant to no freaking Dr. J. They weren't comparing Kobe to Hakeem Olajuwon. They weren't comparing Kobe to Larry Bird. We were talking about Kobe versus Michael Jordan. That was the conversation I remember. And then slowly but surely, Kobe's name started to drop. I don't think he was bad at all towards the end of his prime. Yes, the injuries hit his Achilles, his knees were shot, but he was still Kobe. And some reason, his name out of everybody continues to drop. And guys like Larry, whose career was cut short, even a Magic, whose career was cut short, somehow they've been able to hold their position. Never made sense to me. I never bought into it. This disrespect of Kobe continued in his death, but it definitely started before he passed. I don't know what it is with Kobe. If he offended some of the media, they have been disrespecting the Black Mamba for a minute now. I will never do that. For me, Kobe is in my top 3 of all time. And if you catch me on the right day, I will tell you Kobe Bryant is the greatest basketball player I've ever seen. I will look you in your eye and tell you that Kobe skill set surpassed his predecessor in Michael Jordan. On the right day, not every day, not most days, On the right day, I'll look you in your eye and tell you Kobe had to deal with a legend in his own in Tim Duncan. He had to compete with that dude in that era. I will look you in your face and say there are shots on the court Kobe Bryant will make that LeBron won't even think about taking. I will look you in your eye and tell you that. Again, not every day, but for dang sure he's in my top 3 all time. I ain't going back and forth with you either. Time, love, and support. It's what your boy never take for granted. I'm out. All right, y'all, the NFL season is here. Head over to Underdog Fantasy. Use my promo code FERRO. You can already make your picks for the entire season. Here are some guys that I believe are going to have great years. If your picks are correct, you're going to win a lot of cheese. Use my promo code FERRO. Tell me when you did it. I might even give you a free copy of Madden 25 or NCAA College Football 25.